Hey ho everyone, it's a busy Saturday afternoon here in Sheffield, not long before Christmas, so shops and the streets are pretty packed, and I think there's a football game going on today as well. I think Sheffield United are playing, so it's going to be a really, hopefully a busy one today. I got my first order in to I got an order from a pizza company, not going too far. And it's been an interesting week in the news, certainly. I've certainly from a British perspective, looking at this whole healthcare thing in the US with the CEO of that company being gunned down, and then the hunt for the guy who killed him, and then his subsequent arrest in the McDonald's. It was all very interesting to watch. I'm getting a lot of orders through, but wouldn't expect this, but have to just ignore those when I do the current ones. And it's kind of fascinating to see this difference between the news media's response to this, newspapers and traditional news channels like CNN, BBC, etc., and then kind of everyone else's response to it, because there's been quite a division. And it's one of these things that seems to have sort of united left and right, particularly at the kind of middle class, working class level, and has caused consternation among the richer people in society as they realise that people think that this might be a way of solving some of the problems. And it's kind of difficult to argue that this hasn't had an effect. After all, shortly after the CEO boss was murdered, one of the other healthcare providers went back on one of their sort of policies to try to, deny people coverage more, potentially with, I think it's something to do with anaesthetic and how long it can last for, or how long the operation lasts for, and they very quickly went back on that in light of what had happened. So, what it's showing people is that years of voting and, writing to your politicians and asking them to sort out this problem did nothing. But, this one guy seems to have affected change. And no one wants to say that, this is the way going forward, that things get solved, but hopefully it does at least show those in power that there is a depth and a intensity of unhappiness with the sort of disparities in wealth and access to services and privatization of what should be nationalized services. And I think it might affect some change, really. Let's hope so. And I hope, obviously, you don't hope that this will lead to further deaths. You just want this perhaps to be a sort of a one and done deal, where people realise that it is time to change, and it's highlighted some of the obvious iniquities in some of these systems. It doesn't mean that kind of private healthcare can't exist. It certainly does here in the UK, and if you can afford it, you can obviously in some way sort of jump the queue and get treated earlier, because often you do have to wait on the NHS. But if you are treated on the NHS, you're not faced with a massive medical bill at the end of it, and potentially sort of denied the coverage that you need. Hello there, how are you? Do you have that one? Was it ready already? Perfect. Okay, that's picked up. Let's get off to the customer. Suggests it's going to take about 10 minutes, so all told we're looking at about 15-20 minutes for about £5, I think, so yeah, it's not too bad. Yeah, it's been kind of interesting also trying to watch them vilify the guy who did the killing. Trying to paint him as a sort of over-privileged sort of Antifa character, sort of mind-addled with left-wing politics and, you know, indoctrinated and, you know, forced to carry out this act, when clearly I think it was a very much kind of a lone wolf. He comes from quite a rich background, but obviously had some personal dealings with this company. People in the media are sort of struggling to know how to portray this, because people are kind of coming out against him, sort of right-wing podcasters and things like that, and they're just not getting any traction with their traditional audience. People in the comments are basically saying, yeah, we don't agree with this, you know, you're out of touch with the common man, you don't understand what it means to have to deal with sort of medical debt. You can just pay your way out of any health issues you might have. And that maybe people are waking up to this idea that it's not, the issue is not about sort of left versus right, or black versus white, or trans against straight, or gay, or anything like that. It's more about the rich against the poor, and that there's kind of unity in working class people, middle class people kind of banding together and working together regardless of whatever political persuasions you might have, to combat some of these things. So I think if this has led to this awareness, that in itself is probably a good thing. I mean, no one's celebrating, or no one should celebrate anyone's death, but it's quite clear that this man and the company that he headed has caused untold misery to thousands upon thousands of people, and kind of deliberately so. So I don't think there's a huge wave of sympathy going out to him. And like I said, if it does raise awareness and does unify people on certain core issues and core services that they believe everyone should have, then maybe that's not a bad thing. But we'll see. The problem is with the nature of sort of news cycles these days, it might be one of these topics that just gets, you know, pushed back and pushed under by some other subject. In a couple of weeks' time, something else will be the headline and this would have been forgotten. But I hope not. I hope it will spark some wider debate and you know, hopefully spark people to understand where the true issues in society are. It's not, you know, identity politics or critical race theory, you know, whatever your theories or ideas about that are. You know, those things have been put forward as these kind of straw men as the things to divide people, but they're not. You know, they're minor parts of life, and you know, you can have issues with them, certainly with some of these topics, but they're not the things that really should be dividing us. It's not immigrants and it's not trans people who are sort of denying people health care and massively depreciating the quality of people's lives. Let's be honest. When it comes to things like trans, how many people actually ever even see or meet or know a trans person for them to even interact with them, or you know, ever either a positive or a negative? They make up such a small percentage of the population, yet they've kind of been held up really as the, you know, moral boogeymen in all of this, and you know, it seems ridiculous, really. Alright there, Ibrahim, how are you? Not too bad. Just Just get this all out for you. Oh, what's the sake? There you go. So what was the code again?
56.
56. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Bye bye. Yeah, you too.